Hello there. It's so good to see yet another participant in our conference today. Let me grab my notebook and we will get you checked in just to make sure that you know you're in the right place. This is the Woodland Magic Convention. Yeah, you're good. Okay. I know there's kind of a lot going on and it's kind of hard to keep it all straight. We have the trolls doing a convention sort of like past the big log over there. Yeah, I don't really know how they got over that. There's probably some sort of tunnel passage through it. That's gonna take such a long time. I'm glad that we don't have to cross over to other conventions this year, because last year we actually had to join the imps in their convention, and we literally had to crest an anthill to do so. No, it was horrible. It was because some of the other places were just blocked off by some horrible beasts that usually we love, but at that point they were just being really annoying and antagonizing all of us to no end, so we had to cross over the anthill. The ants were really nice about it, though. We generally have a pretty good rapport with ants. Okay, sorry, I'm gabbing already. Let me get you checked in. First of all, what fairy clan are you from? Oh my gosh, really? Oh my gosh. The Starlit clan? That's incredible. And let me just, of course, your wings. They're just perfectly silver and they just gleam in the light. Do they glow at nighttime? Of course they do. Of course they do. Beautiful. And what is your name? Okay. Beautiful. Well, Mrs. Rosedew, we're so glad to have you here. Basically, I'm going to kind of take you through the itinerary for this week's conference and sort of tell you what you might need to grab at the market. You can see way over yonder, down by that stump, is the market. You see it? Yeah. So, the stump provides a lot of shade for everybody who's milling about, buying things, trying on clothes, sipping from goblets. Yes, they also have the best mince pies over there. Yeah. And then we do have over there our complimentary lodging. So in that little grove of sunflowers. Yeah. So right over there, you can just find the landlord sort of among the grove. He's usually just reading a book on a chair by the stems, and he will be able to take you up the stems and into the houses so you can kind of see what you want. Attendance is not too booked up for this conference, luckily, so that means that we're not going to have anybody without lodging. Some people had to sleep in mushrooms last year. I know, it was kind of embarrassing for me as one of the organizers of the conference, but, you know, what's behind us is behind us. Water under the bridge. The past is past. Yes. So you'll head over there for your lodging, and then we do offer some really cool activities during the downtimes of the conference. So when there's not a talk going on or a workshop, number one, you can go butterfly riding. Yeah. So it is going to be past the big stump where the market is, and then you're just going to come across a little stream, and that's where the butterflies are going to gather each day at 4 p.m. to take you on a little ride. Yeah, so you can choose to do that, or you can decide that that's not your thing and you don't want to, and that's totally fine as well. In that case, you could join some of our world-renowned cooks. Yes, they're going to be inside of the trunk of that beautiful aspen tree right over there. Yeah, sort of by the stump, past the dandelion. Yes, past the sunflowers, and they're just really great at making the most delicious stews, pies, all types of pastries. They mix drinks. They make the best bread I've ever tasted. They make things with mushroom, in case you are a vegetarian, as many fairies are. Or they make things with really, really succulent insect meat. That's what our mince pies are made of, and they're so good. Yeah, we have gourmet caterpillars here. I know, it's actually crazy. I can't believe it myself, but it is true. Okay, Rose, do you have any questions so far? Yes, totally. So transportation, I know it's a lot of walking. Basically, we do have a couple of dragonfly drawn coaches, but they're more around the river. That's where the dragonflies like to hang. So if you're like headed toward the butterfly riding, they're going to be from the stump to there, from the market to there. And then from here, if you actually look over there, we have, yes, a roly-poly coach that should take you to the market. Depending on the concentration of attendees, just like after I show you the itinerary, you might have to wait a second for a coach, but right now, as you can see, they are open and free. Yeah. Okay, so don't worry, I'm going to talk to you all about the layout of the conference grounds themselves. So let's get into it. I'm just going to make absolutely sure that your paperwork is all done, okay? I have to transcribe it onto this paper that will go with our messenger bird. Okay, I'm just yes, please bring this over to the office. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's begin, shall we? Before I tell you all about the itinerary, I just want to give you a couple of general rules for the conference, okay? Rule number 1, we do not tolerate any discrimination between fairy clan, okay? So I know that you're from the Starlit clan, and you might have a little bit of strife with the Sunlit clan or the Lightning clan. It just kind of depends. We've seen it all, but please refrain from making any remarks or preventing anybody from sitting at your table during meal times or, sitting on your same butterfly if you choose to do the ride. Yeah, it has been a problem in the past, actually, as I'm glad to see that you understand how ridiculous that is, but the clans are fairly polarized at this moment, likely because of the strange weather patterns that have been plaguing us lately. Yes, this is definitely a confluence of a lot of different biomes and regions, and so, when odd weather patterns come in from any one of those regions, they really buffer up here, collect way up above us, and then we get these horrible floods, really, really freezing cold snow, or just horribly scorching sunlight. Yeah, so right now it's pretty warm, so that's why we're really glad that we set up the market by the stump. Usually this place is totally reserved for conferences, so there's not a bustling market all year round, and so they have to decide where they're going to put it. But I think the conference runners did a great job at, setting everything in place. I'm not really in charge of geographic aspects of the conference so much, but I am in charge of the itinerary. Yes. Okay, so tonight you are going to go to the market, browse around if you'd like, walk around the area, totally free to do whatever you want. Then you're going to go meet the landlord in the sunflower patch, and you are going to get a wonderful night's rest. Yes, of course, feel totally free to wake up at midnight as you usually do to soak up all that starlight. You do have a couple of members of your clan here already. I checked them in earlier. You know about them. Are you guys planning on lodging together or near each other? Oh, some drama. Okay, well, there's lots of seats at each talk, so you can totally sit far away from them. They don't even have to know that you're here. But yeah, definitely do your late night soaking, get all of that magic up in your wings, and then, head back in for a really cozy rest of your night. And then we are waking up bright and early at sunrise tomorrow. We're going to do our breakfast at sunrise. We are actually going to go to the crest of that little knoll over there. So we're all going to meet there at sunrise so we can watch the sunrise while our cooks bring us delicious food. Yes, it's kind of a tradition for the first day of any conference to do that. Just brings us into some more thoughtfulness and mindfulness before we get on with the crazy bustle of the conference itself. Yeah, so there will be a couple of tables and chairs set up on that knoll. It's going to be so cute. The breakfast is going to be a delicious mix of fresh berries and, some nuts. We got some walnut slivers in recently. Yeah, from a little bit over yonder, a little bit, up north. They are so delicious. Yeah, they're so woody and wonderful. So take it from me, at least. You're going to love these walnuts, and they pair it deliciously with the fruit. And then we do have some fresh cream to go with that. Yes. Courtesy of our wonderful resident cow. You probably are not going to see her this week because she kind of tends to scare fairies away, which I think is super unfair. She's the most loving, glorious cow ever. She's so generous. She lends us her milk all the time. But she is ginormous, as cows are. So we just have to be careful that she doesn't cause a mass panic. But we do say that anybody can go visit her. She loves having company. She loves visitors. And so I can give you the little map to her if you'd like at the end. So I'll ask you again about it at the end. So yes, cream courtesy of her. And then we do have some fresh honey courtesy of our bees. And if you look way up there, you can see the beehive. Yes. Yeah. So for fairies like me, the wings are just conduits for magical power related to nature. I am in fact originally a snowflake fairy from the Snowflake clan, and so I loved when we had snow. And I'm a little uncomfortable in the heat here, but I'm wearing, I've got my bare shoulders. I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling the wind. But yeah, so I cannot fly. Just evolutionarily, my people and I, we don't really fly because all the snowflakes can really mess up with our flight patterns, and it becomes whiteout conditions, and it's just not very safe to have us dropping like stones from the sky when it gets snowy, as it always does up in the northern realm. Yeah, so I cannot fly up to the beehive, but we do have some woodland fairies who can do so. Yeah, and they're basically from this area. Just from a little bit past the stream over there. Yeah, so they're kind of like custodians of the conference grounds, actually. We're very grateful to them. But they can fly up, they can get honey, the cooks can fly as well, and it seems like you, as a starlit fairy, can also fly. Yeah, but you want to kind of conserve your energy, and you want to take a coach. Is that what I'm getting? Yeah, it's going to be a crazy couple days. Yeah, okay. So anyways, gotten that out of the way. Right after sunrise, okay, there's going to be 2 talks at once, and you can choose which one you want to go to, okay? So the first one is going to be small mammal training. Okay, small mammal training. So in that one, we have a very renowned speaker. She's gone to all sorts of different realms and talked and just elucidated the nature of these little critters that we love here in the forests, up in the north, over in the silver trees of your home. Yeah, even in the ocean lands. Yeah, I've heard of these adorable little critters called fish. Yes, they sort of flit through, and I don't know why, but we don't have any in our stream. Somebody said it was because of a curse that a witch put on the stream like a millennia ago. But I really want to see one, so I might make a trip down to the ocean lands at some point and try to see a fish, because they sound so adorable and so beautiful. They're supposed to have these really shiny scales. Yes. But of course, here in this area, we have lovely chipmunks, we have squirrels, we have little bunny rabbits, we have sparrows, and the like. And so it's going to be really useful to kind of learn how to communicate with them and train them so that we can all be partners in nature. Yes. Yeah. So the other one is sort of in the same vein, but it actually deals with arachnids. Yes, so arachnids of all sizes, because the largest ones in this area are generally about our size. So we basically go from tiny little jumping spiders all the way to tarantulas. And we just teach you how to interact with, every single spider that we can fit into the hour. It's going to go by really fast because there are a ton of spiders in this area. We're not going to have all of them, unfortunately, in the program, even though we love to represent our lovely spider community. But it is going to be really, really fascinating, especially if you haven't interacted with spiders much before. Do you have a lot of spiders over in the Silver Forest? Okay, a couple. Yeah. Do you guys often collaborate with them for silk work? Yeah, I assumed so, especially because you guys are known for your lovely silver silks, aren't you? Yes, I actually think my mother, she got me one, yes, during a trade, and I think I have it over in my tulip home. It's so beautiful. It's like this lovely shawl. It goes all the way down to my feet. Anyways, I'm gabbing, I'm yapping, I'm so sorry. But the point is, you can either go to the little critter talk or the arachnid talk. Yes, exactly. Okay, so then there will be a short break where you can have some more of that delicious cream. You can go up to the knoll, or we will also have some snacks laid out basically in between the two conference pavilions, and I'll show you where those are, don't worry. So that'll be a nice little break. You can interact with whoever you want to. You can talk to the speaker of your chosen talk. It's just wonderful. Have you ever been to one of these conferences? I don't remember you from last year. All right, this is your first time. That's just wonderful. I love showing people how wonderful these events can be. And then you can, go home and tell everybody that you learned so much, and hopefully more people will come next year. Yeah, we tend to grow year by year, which is exactly what we want. Okay, perfect. So directly after that, we are going to have 3 talks happening simultaneously. So you're going to have to choose one of the 3, okay? One of the 3. The first one is wing maintenance and grooming. Yes, this one is pretty popular, especially among the ladies. The lady fairies love to keep their wings especially polished and groomed. They will basically tell you how not to get scammed by the big corporations that are selling you totally ineffective wing oil. It's actually such a big problem. I know, it's really cheap. Like, you only have to pay like a couple stones, but it's not worth it. It's too good to be true. It doesn't work at all. So they'll kind of teach you like what to look for in wing oil, and then they'll also talk to you about all sorts of different products, lotions, sprays, and such. And they will have a pop-up shop after the talk. You're dubious? Yes, I mean, okay. They are supposed to represent lots of different companies and especially small businesses in the pop-up shop, but a lot of there's for talkers in that talk, for presenters, and each one has their own wing grooming business. So I suppose you could say that they definitely have incentive to build themselves up. Sure. Guessing that's not going to be the one for you then. Okay, perfect. That's totally fine. So the second talk that's going to be going on is spell books and enchantments. Yeah, it's going to be such a fun time. Basically, I went to this one 2 years ago, and it was so interesting I hope that they have the same format today, or tomorrow, I suppose. They give you a bunch of spell books, and you kind of gather in like groups of 4 or 5 around a spell book. And then you sort of flip through, kind of get to know the spell book. And then the groups sort of try to come up with a creative design to make with their magic. And you can combine magic from different clans. So you, with your starlight magic, could make something really beautiful with a snowflake fairy like myself. The colors match. You could also do something absolutely wonderful with a woodland fairy. Yes, or a petal fairy. I mean, all fairies have wonderful magic that blends really well together. Except for maybe the marsh fairies. Their magic is definitely wonderful, but it does have an interesting color. Yes. Okay, I'm glad that you don't really care about that aesthetics. That's great. My best friend is a marsh fairy, and because we're besties, I'm kind of free to tell her that the color is not my favorite, and she agrees with me. She's kind of hoping to basically run for president of the clan and sort of change things about the coloring of the magic. So maybe the next time I go visit the marshes, they are going to be bright pink or something. Not really sure how that's going to work, but that's okay. Okay, what was I talking about? Oh yes, so you'll do your enchantments from your spell books with your combined powers, and then the spell books will be closed, and you'll just kind of talk about enchantments in general, and spells, and how to wield your magic. Yes. Okay, and then the third one, if this one sounds interesting to you, is dealing with larger creatures. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but you know, humans can come through here sometimes. We do have enchantments to keep them out, but some of them are just sort of oddballs and they get in anyway somehow, which is totally fine. We know how to deal with it. We have emergency protocols, but it is always good to learn more. Have you ever had humans over in the Silver Forest? Okay, lucky you. Wait, how do you enter? Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, so let me get this straight. There's a mushroom, and you go through the stalk in like a little hole, and you kind of boost yourself up, and then you're in the stalk. Okay. And then you open a door, but instead of going outside the other end of the stalk, you enter the Silver Forest. Okay, so it's only open to fairies. Do you even have... Oh, I guess spiders would be small enough to go in, so... But you've never really had a squirrel or chipmunk in there. Oh. Okay, you have visited the woodlands. Wow, but you don't have any... Wow. Okay, well, this is going to be interesting for you then. Especially because at the Critters Talk, they are going to have some example critters that are some of our, most upstanding citizens that will just kind of be there to introduce themselves and show you what their personalities are like. Yeah, but in this one, you're going to learn how to interact with humans. Also, the classic dangers to fairies like hawks, owls, bobcats can be an issue. They love to play with their food. Some humans even have cats as pets, and they really like to play with their food, and they're a little smaller than bobcats, which is even worse because they're, they can kind of size us up a little bit better. They're closer to our size, and it's just so traumatic. I'm sorry if I tear up, but I watched a mouse get eaten by a cat like 2 years ago. It was so upsetting. This cat, she runs at this mouse, and the poor mouse, really fast, scampering on all its legs, but it couldn't get away fast enough. So this beast just swipes at the mouse, leaving a gash in her stomach, and blood starts coming out, but the cat doesn't end it there. She does not end this poor mouse's misery. She lets the mouse go. And I watched as this poor mouse limped away from the cat. And just when it thought it was free, the cat jumped on it again. It's actually so... It's okay. It's the circle of life. Anyhow, you learn how to deal with predators like cats, birds, wolves, dogs, sometimes even bears they're just so big that they might squash you. Yes, elk, deer, moose. And for fairies like me from the far north, we learn about snow leopards and polar bears. Yeah. So we just kind of get a general idea of those larger creatures that we are inevitably surrounded by and how to be safe around them. The fairies from the ocean lands learn all about these horrifying sounding things called sharks. They're supposed to be, I'm rather fascinated with them actually. They have razor sharp teeth and they're extremely long and they have this giant dagger-like fin on the top of their bodies, and they just swim really fast and eat you. Apparently they're especially attracted to the smell of blood and they can track you that way. Yes, so if you ever go to the ocean lands, do not get a scrape or a cut. We're pretty tiny, so we don't have a lot of blood flowing through our veins. The sharks might not catch a very good scent. It might be extremely subtle, but always be careful. So those 3 talks will occur. All of them are slightly longer, except for the wing grooming one. That one ends a little early, and the rest of the time is used for the pop-up shop. Yeah, but then we'll have another break, and this time will be a little bit of lunch. Yeah, a little bit of lunch. This is going to include some of those famous mince pies. Are you vegetarian? Okay, omnivorous. All right, I see. So you can have your pick of mince pies. There will also be berry pies, of course. Fresh berries. We will have cheese this time. Yes. Our chef fairies have been working overtime for this event, making actual cheese. It's going to be a great experience. Yeah. We will have some decadent honey pastries as well. And then mushrooms, those are really good, especially sauteed. They will have a spread of sauteed mushrooms. Yeah. And then we will have a little bit of very decadent bird meat from a lovely bird who fell from the sky, I think it was about a week ago. His meat is fairly fresh. We generally do not like to just kill our bird friends ourselves and eat them, because that just feels wrong. Like there are peers in the forest. It feels a little cannibalistic. Also, they are perfectly conscious and have feelings and languages and societies like us, so we wouldn't really appreciate it if one of them just grabbed us with their talons and bit off our head, so we keep our distance, even though many of us are omnivorous. Some fairies are carnivorous. Did you know that? Yeah. It's really interesting. Some of the, more animal-focused clans, I think one of the clans is the Raptor clan, and then another one is the Field clan. They coordinate with snakes. Yeah, so those fairies are a little scary. If you see one, you'll know. And maybe steer a little clear. They have really, really sharp teeth, red eyes, and just a fairly horrible demeanor. They're quite mean and rude. I suppose they've been raised to not really accept any dilly-dallying. They have a very fast-paced hunting lifestyle. But particularly the Field Clan fairies will try to kill you. Some of them bring little pet snakes along that are about their size, and these snakes are just so great at camouflage. They just zip right by my check-in table, and they get into the conference, and last year we had a casualty. Oh, it's just because we don't, well, I'm not authorized to. Well, I suppose you're right. It would be proper to disclose the information to the public before the conference. But yes, sure. But wouldn't you think people wouldn't want to come anymore? Well, that does matter. It's a factor. This is a political world. This is a political world, my dear. Yeah, we have to be diplomatic and not disclose any deaths from snakes, because snakes are scary. Yeah, well, we haven't had any deaths from raptors at a conference yet, so that's good. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yes, our dear bird friend. It's unfortunate that he died, but we kind of jumped at the opportunity to have some really decadent stuff for this conference. So if you like bird meat, you're gonna have some this week. So after lunch, there's just gonna be kind of like a free time period. You won't be able to ride the butterflies yet because that's more like late afternoon, early evening, but you will be able to just explore the grounds, of course. You can go and look at what the chefs are up to, and they will teach you how to make your very own little croissant. It'll be delicious with honey, yes. Yeah, and then sometimes they actually work with maple syrup from the trees around here, but it kind of depends on season whether the syrup is running freely, and with all our crazy weather and the fact that this is a confluence area, we don't really know what to predict. Yeah, so I don't think they have really stocked up stores of maple syrup right now, but if you come back later or come to next year's conference, they might have something. But that's always fun. Fairies always rave about it. Or you could go back to your lovely sunflower lodging and just take a nap, relax. You're often up at night, so you're up for an hour each night, so you kind of don't get an hour of sleep that other fairies get, and it interrupts your sleep schedule. So you might want to just take a nap at that point tomorrow. Yeah. Well, then after that break, which will be about 2 hours long, we're going to do our last talk session before free time again. And this one is just going to be one talk. It's kind of like a plenary. Everybody's going to be there. You can always skip out on talks, but you're paying precious stones for the conference. I always just tell people what the talks are, and encourage them to attend, even if they think they might not enjoy it, because oftentimes they will learn something. Yeah. So this talk is pretty important and pretty topical. It is all about weather. Yeah, because this year has been crazy with weather. So, as you know, all of us fairies do have a very specific vein in our wings that controls the weather. It's this one right here. It kind of does a loop-de-doop. And yours are charged by starlight. Mine are charged by cold temperatures and snow. And essentially, when we use them correctly, we can make sure that the weather is a little bit more mild or more severe, whatever we desire. But this is kind of a meeting of the minds, a diplomatic meeting where we all sort of understand how weather patterns are affecting this confluence area. It's been pretty devastating. The floods took out quite a few little homes on the shelf mushrooms, on the logs in the trees. Yeah, it was pretty devastating. So that'll be a long one, just all kind of figure out how to work together. It'll be kind of like a workshop. We'll all brainstorm ideas for what to do. And then we'll be done for the day. You can go do butterfly ride. That free time will last like a couple hours, and then we'll have our first night festival. We're going to have a ton of lanterns. It's going to be down by the market. Giant feast. It's going to be super fun. Lots of music. Our musicians are wonderful. And I will give you your lantern for that right now. You can take it to your room and just have it ready. This is your lantern. Isn't it lovely? So I'll set that right there for you to enjoy. Don't keep it lit too much. It might, run out of oil, but it'll be really fun for you to have during the festival. Okay, so the next day we will start bright and early again with the sunrise breakfast, and then we're going to have 2 talks once more. One of them is going to be all about witchcraft and how to beguile a witch, because as we all know, witches want nothing more than to harm us. They apparently steal our lovely little fish from our rivers. Who knows what their motivations are, but we know that we want to be prepared in case we need to stop them. Sometimes they want to curse our little animal friends, and that is not okay. So that one will be super interesting. And then the other one, super interesting, it's actually about the ethics of pixie dust. Yeah, some pixie dust is sourced from horribly unethical sources, and you will learn about this. Yeah, the poor mining fairies, usually they can't even make it to the conference because they're so sick. Yeah, the dust gets in their lungs and, eventually it kills them. I know, it's actually really sad. Anyways, let's keep it on a prim, happy note. Ethics of pixie dust, really important as well, so you can choose which one you want to go to. We'll have another break, and then when we come back for the next session of talks, it's going to be 2 talks again. One of them will be functional tree climbing. Yes, this one's great for any fairies who are aspiring carpenter fairies, builder fairies, any fairies that kind of, maybe their hobby is to, build little birdhouses or whatever. It's going to be really fun. You get to do your own little carpentry work and take it home with you. Yeah. And then the other one, super interesting, probably one of my favorites, is actually going to be all about the magical properties of grass. I know, grass is actually really magical. First of all, it has a ton of pollen on it. The humans tend to get allergic. Yeah, they get like allergic reactions. Have you ever had an allergic reaction? Well, I've had one once. It was so awful. I went to go like trading with a fairy from kind of further across. It was like across the mountain range, which is crazy. I don't know how they got here. They must have taken 100 days. But they gave me something called peanut. And I almost died. It was horrible. But anyways, you'll learn all about grass, all about different types of grasses, all about how to manipulate the grass to your will, how to be friendly toward the grass so that it has goodwill toward you. Yes. Then we'll break again and we'll come back for our second plenary of the week. And this one is pretty important too. This is going to be all about trolls. Now, trolls are our good friends, and sometimes we join them in their conference, which I already mentioned, but they can be slightly nefarious. They really, really like to pull pranks on us. They're total pranksters. Yeah. So we just need to make sure that we're sort of prepared for their pranks, because sometimes they can go really wrong, and no matter how many times we tell them that they need to be aware of that, they're very cavalier and they won't listen. So we need to draw up a plan for basically how to protect each of our clans from trolls. So that will be another workshop. We'll all get our ideas out there. It'll be fun. Perfect. And then that night will just be dinner. We'll have no festival, but don't worry, you can keep your beautiful lantern from the night before. So don't stress about that. Okay, the next day is the last day. This time we'll wake up a little bit later and we'll have more of a brunch style breakfast with everybody at one long table, kind of celebratory. Then we will go into our talks for the day. So first, again, you have 2 that you can choose from. One of them is on the renowned emerald tree. It is this beauty here. At least this is a small figurine that I have of it. But this is absolutely nowhere to be found. It is a figure of myth and legend, but the speaker for that talk actually, apparently, found the tree, and everybody does give him credence because he brought back a golden pine cone from the tree, from the emerald tree, and an emerald leaf. So pretty amazing stuff. He's going to have those items with him. He's going to pass it around for everybody to feel. And then he's just going to talk about the legend of the tree and tell you about his story. And he is trying to publish a book, so he'll have a pop-up shop after that too. Okay, perfect. The other one will be on budgeting, because as we all know, we really need to make sure that we're not wasting our stones. A conference like this is slightly costly. There's going to be stuff that you're probably going to buy at the market, but we wanted to make sure we had a budgeting session during this conference because too many fairies are going broke nowadays. People just cannot find enough river stones. What stones do you use in your clan? Okay, river stones as well, but it's a silver river. Interesting. Okay. Each and every one of our stones is very valuable. We cannot forget that. We do not want to go broke, okay? Because if we cannot pay the weekly sun tribute, the gods will have us. They will have us by the toes. I don't want that for you. I don't want that for me. So the budget one is going to be important. Then there will be a break, and then we will actually have our last plenary because the third day ends a little bit early. Yes. Okay, so the last plenary, which I have a feeling you might enjoy. You seem kind of like a curious fairy, a no-nonsense fairy. Yeah, so it's going to just be all about the different clans, and you can learn about the different clans. It's going to be very, very quick because there's a lot to learn about, so totally no nonsense, no small talk. Basically going to cover every single clan. So we won't be able to cover every spider in that one talk, but we will be able to cover every clan. We've budgeted out the time, and the Starlit clan is gonna, have its moment of sharing its knowledge. So if you wanted to go up to the presenter and say that you're here from that clan, he might have you sort of say something about it. Unless you're shy. Oh, you're shy. Okay. Don't do that then. Don't do that. I don't want to stress you out. But then you'll learn all about everybody. You will learn about the Raptor clan and the Field clan and other carnivorous clans. That's always the scary part, because when they stand up and start talking, you just kind of feel an eldritch fear in your heart, and your heart starts to turn to stone. I don't really know what it is, but it's something that they like to do to you. They're just bullies. They're just mean. But anyways, it's just a great way to end off the conference because, we're all coming together and we want to spread the message of tolerance between clans. That's kind of the whole point of the conference. That's why it was, that's why the conference idea was conceived a decade ago. Yes. Just to bring us all together. So, this conference is relatively young, and we want as many fairies from as many different clans as possible to join each annual event. Okay, so now that we've kind of gone through the itinerary for the conference, do you have any questions for me? Okay, perfect. Well, then I can kind of go into sort of the layout of the camp so that you know where you're going. Okay, so I talked about different pavilions that the talks will be in. Any talk that I labeled as first, and don't worry, this will be on your itinerary. You'll have it in writing. Any talk I labeled as first is going to be inside of the root system of that aspen tree over there, that really big one. You see it? Yeah, just look at the stump and then perfect. So you see how those roots are those are some pretty, thick old roots, and there's a very clear opening with a set of stairs. And you'll be taken down into this wonderful little conference pavilion. It's lit with lightning bugs. It's lit with bioluminescent plants. It's so adorable. Okay, perfect. And then any talk that I talked about as being number 2 is going to be further up in the aspen tree. There's a nice little ladder right there. Do you kind of see it? Yeah, it's a ladder that will take you up and into that nest there. It looks like a nest, but it's actually a little conference pavilion. Perfect. And then finally, whenever we have third talks or plenaries, those are going to be in our cloud conference room. This one is my absolute favorite. So if you walk a little bit past that aspen tree, you're going to come to a patch of grass that's sort of swirling with wind. And it's perpetually doing that because it is magic to be that way. Basically, a lovely little puff of cloud keeps going up and down that wind column. It's like a little cloud elevator, you could say. So just a load of people will get on it and then go up and then step off onto a lovely conference cloud that is just giant, so that all the fairies can be there at the plenary. And it's just so comfortable. Like, I have had the honor of sitting in one of those seats, and oh my goodness, it's wonderful. You're gonna love it. How does that sound? Any questions there? Okay, perfect. Now I guess I can tell you about the stuff that you might want to buy at the market. So first of all, you can buy different versions of our lovely lamp here. So you can buy a version that is a different color. This is kind of like an orangish pink, but if you want something that's more blue, more purple, more green, you can totally do that. And then also notice how this pattern is butterflies and flowers. If you want just flowers, just butterflies. If you want bees, if you want lovely little trees, ladybugs, whatever you want. They probably have a lantern with that pattern on it, so you can kind of just collect these because they are very cute. So feel free to go to the market to do that. Also, we have a ton of very skilled artisans here at the market. Very lucky to have them. They come from far and wide. They make absolutely wonderful collectibles. So this is something that I got actually from the market. It's this lovely little tree. And the trunk is this lovely gold color. So cute. And then another thing that I got as a collectible is this absolutely gorgeous mask. It's this lovely pale pink color interspersed with darker pink, and then one side is silver and the other side is more pink. I just love it so much. And it's got this lovely silver sparkly trim here with some black detailing as well. It's so pretty. So as you can see, fear not, because there is something for everybody at the market. You can also get some of the, the wing oil and the lotions that they will be selling at the pop-up store in the market all throughout the conference. They'll just be there all the time. So if you decide, I actually want to get one, you can go to the market to do so. And you can also buy that speaker's books there. He has books in hardcover, paperback. He has spellbound books, so it's basically just a lovely sheet of sort of reinforced air with the writing on it, and it scrawls itself as you read. It's really cool. It's very cute. It's a little bit more expensive though, as you might imagine. I think I pretty much covered the market. There's also food there. It's just a really fun time. I highly suggest that you check it out. Okay, how are we feeling right now? Perfect. Okay, let me grab you your itinerary. It should be in my pamphlet here. Here it is. Okay, This has all of the information that I just told you on it in writing, so you won't have to remember anything. I suggest you just keep this with you as you go through the conference. Okay, here's that. And then I'm going to give you a little name tag with your name on it. This will just make sure that you are recognizable throughout the conference, and that people kind of, when they meet you, they can refer to you by name, because you're going to be meeting a ton of new people. And it can be kind of awkward to ask somebody what their name is every time. And then I also put your clan affiliation. So you are the Starlit clan, of course. Alright, here is your name tag. Anything else I can do for you before I point you in the direction of those coaches, which, lucky for you, are currently totally free. Okay, well, it was so nice talking with you. Yes. Yes, do me a little favor and don't tell anybody about the snakes once you leave the conference. Hopefully it won't happen again, but please. Well, we could have you sign an NDA, but we don't want to go there. Think about it, and then by the end of the conference, I'll call you over to that office over there, and some of our thug fairies will sort of keep things in order. Okay, you'll keep your mouth shut? Okay, perfect. Oh my gosh, you're such a sweetie. Oh my god, okay. Perfect. If you don't, we will find you. No, you're so sweet. Okay, no, I'm so excited for you. You're gonna have a great time at the conference. Okay, go. Alright.